Hey guys, welcome to part 2. We're getting ready to continue on working with scaling. So right now we just adjusted this little guy who's super cute. Now we're going to go over here and click on this flower. So make sure that you're on the selection tool, shortcut V, and click the flower. Before we get started, by the way, let's go ahead and go to Window, Workspace, Essentials, and then we want to do Reset Essentials just because you guys have been working on some other stuff in between this, and I want to make sure everything's set the way it should go. All right, now that you have the flower selected, we're going to come over to the Scale tool. This is the Scale tool here. You can double click it to open it up, or it's the same as going to Object, Transform, and Scale. Okay? All right, now that we have, we're going to select Uniform at 20%, and we want to make sure it's checked Scale, Strokes, and Effects. Once you've done that, go ahead and click OK. All right, now this makes the flower much smaller. If you click off of it, you can see it. It's been bumped down. And we're going to move this flower up, and we're going to move it right over here next to the lighthouse. I called it a lighthouse, but actually it's a windmill. So what we're going to do is take this and drag it up, and we want to put it right here in line with the windmill. We're going to use the Alt key, and we're going to make several copies and place them over here on this side. So what you want to do is hold down the Alt key and click on the flower to drag over a couple copies. We've got one, hold down the Alt, drag another one right about there, hold down the Alt, and go ahead and do that again. Let's place 3 flowers along that way. I'm going to adjust this just to make sure they're lined up. Good. Now we've got several flowers placed right next to our windmill. All right, the next thing we're going to do is to work on reflecting objects. And so when you reflect an object, it's flipped. So if it's vertical, it's going to flip on a vertical axis. If it's horizontal, it'll flip on a horizontal axis. And it's kind of similar to scaling or rotating, but you can use a reflect tool for this, and we're going to flip it 90 degrees. So let's choose View, Fit All in Window. All right, we're going to select the Zoom tool, and we are going to drag from left to right across the curly green shape right here. So just go ahead and select this. That is a faster way than clicking Control+++ to zoom in. If you just draw with a zoom key, it'll zoom in faster for you. All right, we're going to click the Selection tool here to select this nice shape, which is, there we go. I couldn't get it for a second. And we're going to choose Edit Copy. So you know, we're choosing Edit Copy. You could also do the Alt key, or you can do Control-C to copy. All these are ways to copy, but we're going to do Edit Copy for this one. And then we're going to do Edit Paste in Place. So Paste in Place means that it's going to copy it right over top of the first one that we did. And now we want to use the Reflect tool, which is nestled inside of the Rotate tool. So we're going to choose the Reflect tool, and what we're going to do is to go ahead and use this tool to make a reflection of where the copy that we just did. Okay, with the Reflect tool, you're going to take and select the center area right here, and all you're going to do is hold down the Shift key, and so bring your pointer over in this area, hold down the Shift key, and drag down. And you'll notice that when you hold the Shift, it keeps it to 180 degrees, and you can let go, and it's now reflected these two, so that it's reflected it so you now have these two together. All right, make sure that you take and select the Selection tool, which is shortcut V, and it just selects the one on the bottom. That's the last one that we touched. We're going to go ahead and drag to make this just a little bit larger than the one on top. There we go. And we're going to draw a marquee around both of them just by clicking and dragging, and we're going to group them. So Control G to group, or you could have also gone to Object Group. All right, we're also going to choose View, Fit All in Window, and we want to drag this little curly Q up here into the middle artboard, and we want to position it right about in this area. So all we're going to do is grab it and drag it right about up here. Looks good. And let it go. Very good. Just to have a little fun, we're going to go ahead and make a couple copies of this and put them in different places on here. So if you click on this, then you can hold down the Alt key and drag it to the right and make another copy over here. And maybe we'll hold down the Alt key and drag this one and make another copy and place it somewhere else on the board just for fun. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to place it maybe right here. Good. All right, next we're going to work on rotating objects, and there's several different ways that you can rotate, but I'm going to show you guys one way in particular. So right now we're going to go View, Fit All in Window, and the shortcut for that is Alt-Control-0, and we're going to work with this little guy down here. So let's go ahead, and last time we used the magnifying glass, we can do that again, or you could hit Control+. I'm going to use the magnifying glass to zoom in right to this guy. This is such a cute little character, and we're going to rotate him, and then we're going to end up using the puppet warp tool to make him look like he's blowing away. So right now what I want you guys to do is to make sure you're on the selection tool. So hit the V shortcut on your keyboard to take you to the selection tool, and we're going to rotate this guy. So click on here. Now whenever you use the selection tool, it rotates by a center point. It finds the center of the area or of the object and rotates it that way. So just using selection tool rotates it that way, but if you use the rotate tool, you can rotate in a different way. So right now we're going to do it with a selection tool, so we have it selected. Wait till you get it to turn, there we go, just like that. And if you hold down the shift key while you do it, you can drag it till you get to a 45-degree angle, which is what we want, right about there. That's a good, I'm about to blow away look. But let's move him just a little bit further. So keep holding down the shift key and go ahead and drag him till you get to a 45-degree angle. There we go. That's perfect. All right, so we have rotated him based off the center because that's what happens when you have a selection tool. Next, we're actually going to select the rotate tool, and we're going to rotate him in a different way. So just where we were before, this is the reflection tool. If you right click on it, we're going to choose rotate tool this time. We're going to end up rotating the blades that go on the windmill. So hold down your space bar to turn it into the hand, and we're going to drag it over here to where we see this. This is going to be the blade to the windmill, and we're going to end up with 4 of them, and we're going to rotate them around. Okay, we need to use the selection tool, so hit the V key for the selection tool and go ahead and select this, because remember, you can't do anything until you select the object you're going to do first. Now that it's selected, we need to go back to the rotate tool, and again, if you were still on the reflect tool, you would right click and choose rotate tool. With the rotate tool, it doesn't automatically rotate from the center, so you have to click the point that you want it to rotate from. So we're going to choose at the bottom right here, and we're going to click, and you can see that little symbol, the anchor that it's next to the anchor that we added, this little target. That lets us know that we're in position, and then that's the point that it's going to rotate. Okay, so I just want to repeat again or say again that you have to put your point first. Once you have your point, it's going to rotate around this. You're going to hold down 2 keys. You're going to hold down Alt and Shift at the same time. So hold down Alt and Shift, and then you're going to drag this to make a copy, and you want to stop when you get to 90 degrees. When you get to 90 degrees, go ahead and let go of the mouse first, and then your keys. We are then going to go ahead and repeat this by going to Object, Transform, Transform again, and it does this one. And we want to do it one more time by going to Object, Transform, Transform again. We now have, if I go back to Selection and click off, we now have our blades set. All right, we want to group these together, so we're going to go ahead and drag a marquee around all of them. We're going to go to Object Group, or you could do Control G. And now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and select the Rotate tool. And we want to double click it, and we want to rotate this to be 45-degree angle, and click OK. Now it rotates at exactly the angle we want to be. We can go ahead and click back on the selection tool, or you could have done Control V. We need to go to View, Fit All in Window. And now that we can see this, we're going to drag this up and put it right on top of our windmill. Very cute. And our smart guides help us line that up. Looks nice. Why don't we go ahead and save this now? So let's go to File, and we're going to do Save. All right, now we're going to distort objects with effects. So we're going to click on one of these flowers over here. Let's click on this first one. And why don't we go ahead and Control plus to zoom in until we get in pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and shift it, holding down the space bar, it turns it into the hand, and I can move it around. I'm going to zoom in one more time, Control plus. And now what we're going to do is to change this. So we're going to go up to Effect at the very top, and we're going to choose Distort and Transform. All right, and under this one, we want to go ahead and pick Pucker and Bloat. All right, now that this comes up, we want to select it all the way to 35%, roughly, just to distort this a little bit. Whoops, too far. And click OK. All right, and now it's distorted it and it's made it kind of a perfect little flower shape. So the effects that we apply are live, which means that they can be edited or removed at any time. So if we want to access the effects, we could go to the Appearance panel. If we go to Window and we go up here to Appearance, we can see the effects that we put on these right here, and then we would be able to edit them. We could click them, we could get rid of them, we could do anything that we wanted to do to them. Let's escape to get our, I'm sorry, not escape, let's close that out for right now. And press the space bar to drag to the left to see the days per year flag. That's percent per year. Let me zoom out, actually. There we go. Sorry, I was all over the place. It's to the right of the windmill. All right, I'm reading as I do this, so, you know, I'm reading the textbook and doing the lesson, so sometimes I'm a little scatterbrained sounding. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit to the days per year, right here. We're going to choose this top shape right here. Click it, and we're going to go to Effect, and we're going to go to Distort and Transform, and we want to choose the twist. All right, once this comes up, we're going to go ahead and select the angle as 20. You can just type it in and then click OK. And that gives us a nice wavy look to all of our flags, or to our top banner. And now we want to click the banner below this one. And we're going to hold the Shift key and click all the rest of them. And we're going to choose Effect, Apply Twist. See, because we picked it before, it puts it up top here and it remembers the settings that we did before. So if you were to wanting to do your twist not quite as dramatically, you would not want to click this right here because it applies the same one. You would want to go through doing again what we did before. But in this case, we want to do Apply Twist, and it applies the exact same angle that we had before. Let's go ahead and go to File and Save. Okay, next step, we're going to transform with a free transform tool. So we want to go back over to the left of the toolbar. Again, hold down the space key so it turns into the mouse, I mean, not mouse, the hand, and come over here to the percent of year. All right, over here we're going to click on this East-West. So you want to have the selection tool selected and go ahead and click on the East-West. It selects that whole shape. And we are going to use this tool right here, which is the free transform tool. When you click it, it gives you this kind of widget that is over here, which I am having trouble getting to move away the way I want it to. It's over here. Let me see if I can, there we go. I had trouble grabbing that little guy. All right, you can grab it and move it over here so you can see. And if you hover over top, this is constrain, this is free transform, this is perspective distort, and this is free distort. We are going to work with, all right, we're going to select the perspective distort one, which is right here. And what we want to do is go over to the lower right-hand corner. First thing we're going to do, though, is turn off of our smart guides. We want to turn them off because otherwise it'll give us all these lines that are kind of annoying when you're trying to do this, and it tries to snap you into place, and we don't want to snap into place. We want it to look off on purpose. So click your smart guides to turn that off. Go down to your lower right-hand corner, and you're just going to drag this down a little until it looks a little bit bigger on the right-hand side than it does on the left-hand side. Just about like that. All right, we want to press Control key to temporarily take us to the selection tool. So anytime you're on another tool and you don't want to have to click and do it, you can just hold down the Control key. We're going to select the north-south. Now that we have that selected, let's go ahead and release the Control key, and it turns back into the Free Transform tool, and we're still on Perspective Distort. So we want to do similar to what we did before, but we're going to go to the lower left hand and point down a little so that it looks bigger on this side than it does on the other, just like that. Perfect. Now we're going to turn our Smart Guides back on, so we're going to go to View, Smart Guides, turn them back on, and go ahead and go to File and Save. And if we click off of this, if we click off of this, then we've got an idea of what it looks like. And you'll notice that it also distorts the text as well that's on there. So that looks pretty good. All right, next we're going to work with this Shear Tool. So we want to make sure that we still have the north-south selected, which I do. And then we're going to go over to where the Scale tool is and right-click, and we're going to click Shear Tool. Sorry, that's a mouthful to say. And what we're going to do is hold down the Shift key to constrain the artwork to its original width. And we're going to drag, holding down Shift, we're going to drag it up till we see it get approximately -20. So just watch that little gray box. Right now I'm at -20, then I can let go. And it's now sheared this in an upward manner. And we're going to have to select the east-west and do it the opposite way. So we need to select the selection tool. So hold down V so it goes to the selection tool. We're going to select the east-west. And we're going to go back to shear. And we're going to hold down the Shift key again. But this time we're going to drag it down till we have approximately a -160. So click this and drag down so you see about -160. Now that we have that, we want to go ahead and select the selection tool, and we want to make this look a little bit cuter than what it is. We're going to drag this approximately right there, and we're going to bring this one up so they look like they intersect, and we're going to put that one just about right there. You can fiddle with this till it feels pretty good to you. I like the way that looks right about there. And so then we're just going to go to Select, Deselect. All right, click on the north-south. We're going to go to Object and Ungroup so that they're no longer grouped together. And then we're going to go to Select, Deselect. Now we're going to click on the north text to select that group. So right here, we're going to click on this one, and we're going to go Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. So now that is in front of the sign, making it look a little bit more realistic. We want to drag each of the numbers with the percents next to them, so that we'll click 13% and drag it a little closer there. We're going to click the 28% and line that right about there. We want our 39% to line up right about there, and we want our 20 to come right over here. I got to position mine a little bit higher above my flower. Now that I have that, I can go ahead and do File, Save. I'm going to adjust mine down just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to do File and Save again. All right, next up is using the Puppet Warp. We need to go ahead and find our little guy in the yellow rain jacket, so we're going to hit Control- to zoom out. There he is. And we want to drag this little guy up, and we want him to attach right here underneath the flagpole, which is pretty cute. And then I'm going to zoom back in so that we can see him a little bit better. Or her. I don't know why I'm assuming it's a him. Looks more masculine though.
Illustrator CC.
Hey guys, I paused this video because I just realized that the Puppet Warp tool is in the 2018 release edition of Adobe Illustrator, which we are using the 2015 release. So we cannot actually warp this guy to make him look like he's blowing away, which is a shame because it's a really cool tool. So I will show you what that does. I looked up the video, just a quick one.
Be sure to give Puppet Warp a try.
To you. This is how the Puppet tool works, and in the newer edition, you can place these little pins, which is pretty cool. Once the pins are placed, you can go ahead and drag them and move them around, and that way it would adjust parts of the animal, like in this case, the dog. It's so cool. It allows you to do so much. You can do it with text, with font. You can do it with just anything you create. So that's the Puppet Warp tool. I was going to have us go ahead and do that with this guy so that he looked like, let me find, where is it? Here we go. So that in the end, he would actually look like this. Look how cool that is. Like he's blowing away. But because the county has not upgraded us to the 2018 edition, I can't show that to you guys. It would be located right here with the free transform tool. The Puppet Warp is nestled in there. Unfortunately, we can't do that. So that is the end of lesson 5. What I just want you guys to do is to go ahead and save this document, and then turn it in by attaching it to the Lesson 5 Part 2 tutorial, as well as to turn in your question sheet. And that's it for this. Next week, we're going to get into drawing with a pen tool, and that should be a lot of fun. After that, I think we'll be able to get into doing a lot more artwork. Okay, guys, have a great day. Let me know if you have